Hello, my absolutely beautiful astrology soulmates. It's me, Stormy Grace, and welcome to your weekly horoscope for the week of January 19th, where I have to tell you that this week is actually a pretty good week. We've got a couple days in here where the energy picks up, but I still think it's really usable energy. Now, we also just want to keep a couple things in mind this week, okay? And I'm going to say this before I tell you about all the other good stuff, is that I want you keeping in mind that Mars is still retrograde at this time. And while Mars is retrograde, it's still out of bounds. So there is a fair amount of intensity and frustration that is still on the table. But as long as you are pointing that energy towards just answering these two questions, what can I do? What can I actually put my hands on and handle? What can I do? Which is going to likely be something from the past, something that you've already got on your plate. And what do I actually factually know? That's going to be a big set of questions you can ask from now, really going all the way until February, but then we need Mars to come back in bounds, and that won't happen until April. So want you to just kind of keep that in mind. Our microphone keeps running off. Want you to keep that in mind as we're coming into the week, but this is a pretty good week in terms of the energy being a little bit softer. Okay, before we jump in, coming up here on February 1st, just a few days away, just about a week away, I'm going to be teaching over the Nightlight Astrology School with Achutabhava. So I would love for you to come. It is a free talk. He puts it on for the community. I'm going to put a link in the description box down below. You can totally jump in and get signed up. And over at GAFA, my school, we're going to be getting ready for the next portion of 102 where we are doing only transits. So if you don't know anything about transits or you need to improve your understanding of how transits work in astrology, that's going to be the course for you, and you can sign up for that in the description box down below as well. All right, friends, and yes, I'm sorry I sound like Barry White this week. I'm like, darling, okay. I did the conference. It was absolutely brilliant. It was so beautiful to meet some of you, and thank you for having me. But the vocals definitely are going to need a rest. So let's get in here and get you into the week, okay? Starting out here on Monday, as we're coming into Monday, the other thing we want to keep in mind is that just on Sunday, we saw the sun move into the vibration of Aquarius. So we are coming in. Now, we have been over the last 4 weeks in this really more constructed Saturnian, Capricornian, be organized, be grounded, be practical kind of container. And for the next 4 weeks, we're going to be traveling in air and Aquarius. So it's about innovation. It's about, doing the things that make you authentically you. This is going to be the unusual kind of vibration that reminds us that sometimes outside of our comfort zone is where we actually find our own spirits. So we are traveling with that Aquarian vibration over this next 4 weeks, okay? But the moon, as we come in on Monday for our moon day, is going to be in Libra. So we're coming in under the vibration of balance, of harmony. We want diplomacy. We're looking at the natural balance between our relationships, what's happening in our relationships. So Monday as a moon day is really relational. It's very, very relational as we're coming in this week. So just something to keep in mind as you are navigating on Monday and you're thinking about it. There's going to be a quick square that ends up happening to Mars later in the day, later as it gets around. But it's nothing that I think you need to freak out about. It's going to just be something that is like, it can stir up some of the frustration and the impulsiveness with people and with people around you where you're like, you want to be right and you want them to get it together and like move on. So I would say if you are thinking about it on Monday, and situations are coming up, think collaboration instead of conflict. But if conflict does present itself, it's just an opportunity to be collaborative. You can look at it definitely that way. So prime example, let's say that you're at work or you're online at work, however you go to work, and there's a team discussion that comes up or something like that, or something comes up in a romantic relationship, okay? And you have to practice actively listening instead of just jumping in where you think that you know that it's right. So that's going to be where the moon energy can guide us to here on Monday. And remember, a little chamomile tea, which is actually, I think, very Libran, goes a long way for bringing some chill to your table. Now, Tuesday is where we start to pick up with more aspects, okay? First and foremost, we're going to see the sun and Pluto come into cazimi, come into a conjunction with one another. So as the sun and Pluto come into a conjunction with one another, you got to think the sun is light, heat, life, and vitality. And Pluto is new in Aquarius, but is about this revolution. It's about change, but it's also about power, right? So as the sun and Pluto come together, this is a powerhouse of transformational energy. There's a lot of good that can be done under it. So under this conjunction, especially because it's in Aquarius, it's going to highlight this space where you're having or have the availability for individual breakthroughs, not breakdowns, just the breakthroughs. These ones are the breakthroughs that are able to come to your own individuality. What makes you you? And then how do you add that you to the collective progress or to the collective voice of what's happening? You know, it can still be an energy where once we step into our power, or we decide we're going to step into our power in some way, where we are confronted. You know, you're confronted with, okay, you either need to change, or now that you have changed, how are you going to navigate the road that's in front of you? But ultimately, it's an energy that I think you can do it in a couple ways. It's good for reflection. Reflect on the areas of your life where maybe you've been holding something back. You haven't really been being you. You haven't been taking steps to reclaim what you know is yours or is your power in some way. It's a great energy for if you've had outdated beliefs, right? Outdated beliefs that are just been holding you. You haven't been stepping there. This is a great energy to step into that with. Now, just behind that, we are actually going to see that the moon is going to move itself into the vibration of Scorpio, okay? Because we actually saw the moon go into Libra on Sunday, but that energy carried in for us on Monday. But we're going to see the moon now shift into the vibration of Scorpio. So we're going from balance and harmony into a container that's a bit more intense, especially for the moon. So as the moon is traveling here over the next couple days, go to the Scorpio area of your chart. What house in your chart is being lit up so you can see where is there this emotional intensity that's maybe presenting itself because the moon is in Scorpio? Where is it an energy where you're feeling like you're reflecting a little bit more on that transformation, right? The sun is in conjunction with Pluto. That's one of the ruling planets of Scorpio. So you may be really going back over, you're maybe even feeling a bit more private now where you're like, I need to take this in, I need to investigate, I need to get focused on what it is that I need to uncover. What do I need to uncover, discover, and discard in order to be able to move forward? Now, as the moon is traveling through that scorpionic vibration, we agreed in the description box down below, in the comment section, that mustard, we believe, is a Scorpio kind of food. So you can bring that herb in, but I also like a little clove. Maybe it's a day for a nice little chai with a little clove or something in it to just kind of be with that intensity and let it aid your reflection. Let it aid what you're looking to break through, okay? Now, just behind that, as the moon shifts into Scorpio, we're going to come to the last quarter moon, and this is going to be happening at 2 degrees of Scorpio, okay? So again, you want to go to your chart, go to that 2 degrees of Scorpio, because this is a part of a lunar family story. So this last quarter moon is you bringing a 27-month piece of your being, piece of a project that you took on to a close and to a completion. Okay, so when you go back to October 25th of 2022, this is where we had that new moon that was happening it was a new moon eclipse, as a matter of fact, that was happening at 0 degrees of Scorpio. So this is where you planted your seeds of intention and really you were eclipsed. It might have been something that, you know, like it wiped something out for you, where it was like, you know, the whole situation got wiped out or got completely changed at that 0 degree point. And then you were planting seeds of intention to begin something new and to bring that into reality. Now, as we get to July 25th of 2023, this is where you hit the first quarter time where the moon is back at 2 degrees of Scorpio. So as the moon's in the first quarter, whatever got wiped out, now you're in action, you're building, things are moving, people, places, and things are falling out of your life because they don't belong there, they don't fit the vibe of what it is you're trying to construct for your own future, where you're taking a lot of action at that time. We get to April 23rd of 2024. This is where we see the full moon time as the moon is back to 4 degrees. It's not back, it's at 4 degrees of Scorpio. we're pivoting at this time, right? First of all, at this time, what were you? You were like, I need to end something, acknowledge something, or I just need to pivot. And I need to pivot and commit to a new direction. Maybe I found out new information. Maybe something at that time was uncovered where you're like, okay, that doesn't have purpose in my life anymore. I don't want to travel forward with that anymore. What was the change where you're just having this acknowledgement, right? And now, as we are here on January 21st of 2025, at this first quarter time, a couple things is, first of all, you're turning away from this now. It's time to let it go, or you let go how you've been engaging with whatever it is that you brought into your life that was probably very transformative. And if you're letting it go because it's done, that's fine, but you might just be pivoting where you have to engage with it differently. You know, did you build a project? Did you build a business? Did you build a relationship? And now you're like seeing the dividends from that, right? You're getting paid, you're getting the resolution, maybe you're getting recognition for something. Whatever it is, this first quarter moon is bringing that in. So it's also an opportunity here on Tuesday going into Wednesday to enjoy this last quarter energy and to look back into your life. Take a minute to see that you've been doing something that's not only important because it's your life. You've paid for this in time, right? We're paying for life in time. You spent time calling something in, building it, constructing it, and now you get to like have it be this beautiful engagement, okay? Now, on Thursday, the energies do go up. So on Thursday, first things first, we have Mars, who's still retrograde, of course, in a sextile to Uranus, who's also retrograde. As Mars and Uranus come into a sextile, it's a much more friendly meetup for these two, because sometimes when Mars and Uranus come together, you don't really know, and they're both totally down to go to war. They're both totally down to do whatever has to be done, break things down. But as they come together in this sextile here on Thursday, what I think is, first of all, it's an opportunity to innovate your mind, innovate your action, innovate your strategy on something that you've already been looking at. It's from the past. It's from the past. The way you've been doing something, the way you've been thinking about something, the way that, you know, it's going to encourage a lot of really creative problem solving and strategizing in order to, you know, have that be a different solution. It's because it's like, if you've been doing the same thing over and over and over again, or you've had this lingering issue that you just keep trying to like get out of your face and you haven't been able to do it, this is going to be helpful to that. Now, the thing you do want to watch out for this aspect is that it can bring sudden changes. Okay, it can bring sudden changes. This is a sextile. It has an ease of access and it can feel disruptive, but you are going to be moving towards some kind of solution. I just want to give you a really cool example to kind of help you have a visual here. But, you know, if you've had a project or something's been really, really delayed, you're like able to find a workaround or something. You're like, oh, okay, I didn't even know I could do this, but it turns out you can do this, and you find some cool workaround, right? Creative problem solving is going to be ruling the day here on Thursday. Now, behind that, we're going to see that Mercury comes into an opposition with that Mars that's retrograde. And this becomes interesting in the workaround breakthrough scenario, because Mercury's trying to get the facts and the details and share and have all of the information, and it wants clarity, right? And Mars is like, I don't want to talk about it. I want to be about it. But be about what? I'm trying to be about something back here, you know, and Mercury's trying to bring information. So what this can create is a little bit of communication constipation. Okay. The energies are opposing. They're going in two different directions. What's being communicated and what's being done don't necessarily line up. So you can let that get bigger, and it can be frustrating. And it's like, I'm getting irritated. Mars is frustrated because it's already retrograde. I'm getting frustrated and I want immediate results and I want things done now. It's not going to work, right? That can just be really, really challenging. So instead, what you're trying to do is, again, bring that frustration if you can, if you have to be having big discussions, bring that frustration into a productive discussion. Slow down, go back over the facts, go over the details. You know, let's just say you get an email, or you get something in the mail or something like that, or you get a text and it comes off as really abrupt. Like, you think you know what happened, right? Your Mars is like, no, I know what happened here. And your Mercury is not realizing that they just didn't put an emoji or something like that. Do you know what I mean? I would say, pause for a minute before you respond and think about, okay, does there need to be a problem right now or not, right? Because you might be starting some when there isn't none, right? So that's a great aspect here on Thursday to just be thinking about that. All right, now we're also going to see here on Thursday, oh, this is beautiful. Okay, Mercury is going to come into a trine with Uranus, who again is also retrograde. So this will help. This will help bring a little bit of mental clarity during your pause where it's like, okay, we can brainstorm a solution here. As long as I haven't trashed and burned a situation to the ground, there's going to be able to be some kind of solution that we're going to be able to bring into the mix to move things forward. All right, we are going to see the moon towards the end of the day, about 5:20 going till the end of the day. It's going to have contact with Neptune before it steps into a void of course period until 9:28 p.m. So as the moon is going to step into that void of course time, it's a great time to not start anything new, finish what's in front of you. You know, you don't go hide under a rock, but remembering that the universe is kind. It's kind. It makes rest stops for us. It makes moments where we can rest and we can thrive. Okay. So take it. I just would not start anything new during the moon being void of course. Just behind that, the moon will enter into the vibration of very playful, very optimistic Sagittarius, where we are bringing in turmeric, we are bringing in sage, we are bringing in saffron for our dishes, or something that is just very different than what you normally eat. Let it feed your soul like food for the soul. And I love it because as the moon is traveling here in Sagittarius, it really, we shift into a much more optimistic vibe. So the intensity of what's going on in general absolutely comes down like 5 notches. Saturday, we've got Venus in a trine to Mars, who's retrograde. Now, these are the lovers in an engagement. But Mars is looking backwards. Mars is reviewing the past. And Venus in the trine is shedding support. Venus is supporting Mars as it looks backwards. It's saying, let's bring some balance in here. Let's look at the relationships in a way of balance, in a way of, you know, maybe there are creative endeavors that you've been taking on, projects or things like that, and you're having to go back over it. I do think that a Venus-Mars can be good. And I say this like very, very gently because Mars is retrograde and Venus is on the way to retrograde here very quickly. It can be good for rekindling old relationships or having like a conversation with someone you were into an old relationship with. I think it's better for rekindling an old project. Go back to that project you were working on and you never finished and go ahead and get it done, right? People are unpredictable. The projects that you're working on are probably just fine, okay? All right, on Sunday, we've got the moon coming into a void of course position before it's going to shift into the vibration of Capricorn. So again, it's another opportunity to rest. It's an opportunity to put down everything that you were working on and just finish things. Finish things, don't start anything new. And then the moon will shift into the vibration of Capricorn. And now we come into a more organized, a more grounded, a more practical and focused kind of energy. This is where you're getting out that rosemary. This is where you're getting out that ginger for a little bit of motivation so that you can move and you can move things forward. We're also asking the question here when the moon is traveling through Capricorn. We're asking the question of where do I need to get organized or where do I need to delegate so that my emotional life can be healthy? You know, is there something that I need to take off of my plate in order to be really successful in other areas? What do you need to say no to so that you can say yes to? And what do you need to say yes to, which will require you to say no to something else? Behind that, we see that Mercury is in a sextile here with Neptune. I like this aspect. It's a bit dreamy, but it blends this space of logic with intuition. Okay, logic and intuition kind of get on the same place. But when it's a sextile, you are intelligently taking action to do something with it. Be creative, be compassionate, go work on that project, go create that thing, go put out that thing that you wanted to do or that you were working on. You know, whatever it is, there is a really nice opportunity here for you to express yourself creatively and know that the head and the heart, that the intuition and the language are in alignment. Now, what I can see happening too, in some cases, is that this is also a great energy for escapism. And that can be avoided. That can absolutely be avoided. And again, this is still Neptune, so there's a bit of over romanticizing something. Try to keep things to scale. Stay with your feet grounded on the earth, but then put your head in the clouds. We like head in the clouds a little bit, right? All right, behind that, we're going to see that Venus is in a sextile to Uranus. So this is a very social day, actually, as we're here on Sunday. But Venus sextile Uranus, who is, again, retrograde, this is excitement. It brings new people into your life, or it brings a new value for old people into your life, or old people that you maybe wanted to connect with before, or old situations. Its creativity gets lit on fire. Now, there's this excitement or this burst of energy that comes around it, right? There's a spontaneity that is just to be embraced as Venus and Uranus come together. So the opportunity that you really have here is new approaches to old hobbies that you had, right? Was there something that you wanted to take on? Did you want to paint? Did you want to do watercolors? Did you want to, in your relationship, is there something that now you have kind of fresh eyes around that thing? The challenge, I think, too, to just be mindful of is making impulsive relationship decisions or impulsive financial decisions. I wouldn't necessarily do that. Again, make sure your feet are grounded, okay? So Sunday really ends up being a day that's good for grounding and grounded planning. It's great for some creative expression, for absolutely sure. And I think it's also a really nice day for a bit of spontaneous joy. And what a nice way to end our week, because there are some other intense energies that are absolutely happening, okay? All right, beautiful friends, make sure you check out your 2025 videos if you haven't checked those out. And if you haven't learned how to see where these transits I'm talking about are in your chart, I'm going to put that video at the end as well so that you can check it out. All right, guys, I love you, and I'll see you next week.